Okay, hi, I'm back. I'm not exactly sure how to start this video. Um, this again is my solar panel and the quickie frame I put together. It's been working pretty well. Um, now I'm going to take that frame and change it a little bit. I'm going to try and put it up there. So you can see there's a 4x4 post over there. There's another 4x4 post here. I'm going to take a piece of angle iron up a little bit beyond the foliage there, and a fair bit up on this side, and I'm going to try and get it up off my deck. The sun sets in the west, kind of on an angle over there, as you can see, and I think that's going to be the best spot in my yard to catch the sun for the most part of the day. Anyway, I will let you know what I'm doing as far as getting this type of arrangement up on top of there. Okay, as I mentioned, I'm putting my solar panels up on top of that little privacy fence I showed you. This is a mock-up of the top of that fence. So these are going to be, they're perfectly spaced to match the fence. They're 44 inches apart. I've mounted one of the brackets already. This is a piece of angle iron from an old bed that was thrown out, a bed frame. Up top I've already cut an angle on there. I think I initially cut that to 36 degrees. It's probably going to be more like 26, so I'm going to have to bend that back, but I will be doing some welding on it, so we'll straighten that all up. This is the next piece of angle iron that I'm going to be cutting. My shop is a disaster, sorry about that, but anyway, I've just drawn the angles I need on here with a piece of chalk, and it's not rocket science. I know there's about 26 degrees I need, so I took a piece of wood from the floor and cut 13 degrees on it, and well, it's hard to see with that light, but there you go. Now I'm just going to cut that, bend it, weld it, and it should be pretty close. I'll tweak it as necessary. Stay tuned. And there's my V cut out of it, and I'll throw that in the vise and bend it, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here I've got it mounted in my vise. I've just got a little piece of straight metal there. Hopefully it'll bend reasonably square. It's just applying some pressure. And there we go. I'll probably put a bit of pressure on that to make sure it stays as I weld it, but yeah, there you go. Nice angle. Okay, just in case you're wondering where I came up with all those crazy angles and lengths and so on, I did not bother going out and finding a piece of software and training myself how to use it. I spent 10 or 15 minutes with a piece of graph paper, drew it out. I told you the optimum angle for my area is 36 degrees. It was just a little bit much. I tuned it back to something that I felt looked a little better for the angle iron I'm using and so on, and how far off the 4x4 posts it is. I just don't want up too much, catching too much wind. You're wondering where I got that 36 degrees from. I got it from a website called solarpaneltilt.com. They have all kinds of really cool information if you have fixed solar panels. It'll give you the optimum angles for various times of the seasons. You can do a calculation for the best angle for the whole year, or you can get angles for, you know, two changes a season, or 4 times changes a season. I just did the single because I'm also going to put the solar tracker on. Ordered that today, by the way, so we might see that in a week or so. Anyway, my latitude's 44 point something there, times 0.76 plus 3.1 degrees gives me 36 degrees. Again, I didn't go with 36, probably should, but it just was a bit too high. Anyway, just thought you might want to know how I come up with that. Okay, here's my running out of light outside, so I brought it in. Here's my frame. As you can see, it's welded up. There. Still got to weld up this end. And then this is the other end. Okay. The solar panel is going to sit in between them, and I'll just show you real simple. Just putting my 4-foot level across there. Just kind of show you that looks reasonably square. And my solar panel will sit basically where the level is now, and it will spin on that hole that I've put in there. And that top hole is a little close to the end, but it was already there, so I didn't change it. Should be fine. Here's a mock-up of the single axis tracker, all out of metal. I was going to make it out of aluminum, but didn't have enough, so it'll be steel, which is fine. Played around with the angles a bit. I'll put the URL of a good calculator that got me close, and then I just I've got this clamped so I can try different positions. And then my beautiful assistant is going to activate this, and we can see how it works. Basically, the solar panel will be mounted on that cross beam. Let's go. The actuator is nice and powerful, and yet very quiet. Like I mentioned before, it's a 24-volt motor, but it works perfectly for my purposes on 12 volts. And that's it. So this would probably be a lot better in the morning light, but I want to get the frame painted tonight, so I've mocked it up now, and yeah, I'll show you how it works. This piece of plywood is just roughly the same size as my solar panel, and down here is a mock-up again of the little privacy fence on the side of my deck. And if Emily, you could activate the panel, we'll show how it works one more time. And I do have a solar tracker on order that will operate the motor for me to follow the sun. It's a tiny tracker from a guy in Texas. And it should work great. Okay, so there it goes. I'll show you a bit of detail here. Some people are going to a lot of trouble to put bearings and so on in here. Maybe I should as well, but for now, this is the way it's going to be set up. Again, the angle iron I'm using is from an old bed frame that was thrown out to this curb, and I have repurposed it. And I'm getting about 140 degrees of deflection. Okay, I'm going to try and keep these short because I'm getting a lot of videos and when I paste them together it's going to be wild. Again, I'm taking this guy and I'm putting them up there. Those are the frames I was building. They're all painted black and they're just screwed onto those 4x4 posts. I'm going to right now take out the screws and put in some lag bolts and get back when I have more. Okay, just a quick clip. They're all lag bolted in and I've just kind of mocked up the one end. And next time you see this, probably there'll be a solar panel on it. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I've got the panel mounted. The linear actuator is not mounted yet. It's actually not an outdoor actuator. It was one from a hospital bed I got off Kijiji. But it works really well, and I'm going to seal it up with some silicone. Hopefully it will last. It wasn't too expensive, so if it cacks, I'll just have to get another one. Anyway, I've got the wires coming down, my grid tie inverter, and in this totally cloudy day I'm getting about 8 watts, as you can see. Sorry, I guess I should also show you what it looks like from the front. It's not tipped at the perfect angle, but this is kind of a temporary thing right now to hold it until I get the linear actuator back. And that's how it looks. Okay, one of the things I need to do is, since this actuator is going to be used outside, I want to try and waterproof it a bit. I'm going to put some silicone around this gap here. Any holes that there might be, I'll plug them just with a bit of silicone. The motor itself seems pretty well sealed. I'm not sure how well this will last outside, to be honest with you. This area here is sealed pretty well, and obviously I can't seal it any better because it has to move. The thing I am concerned about is down the center of this hole. I think I have to seal that up. But other than that, I think it'll be alright. Okay, here's what I came up with. We'll jam that in. Nice tight friction fit, and hopefully it'll keep it sealed. I don't want to silicone it in because I never know if I need to get in there, but we'll give that a try. Okay, here we go. I've got the plug in the end. Probably can't see it because it's black, but I had to really jam it in there. I used a bit of WD-40 to make it slide, and again, this is just an actuator I got off Kijiji for 25 bucks. It's not really meant for outdoors, but once I kind of seal everything up with a bit of silicone, it should be pretty good. The gasket that I made was just from a piece of rubber that I had in the garage. Again, cut just a bit too big so that it was a friction fit, and that should keep the water out of the inside. Okay, well, here it is. I was going to use clear, had the tube all ready to go, went hunting for my caulking gun, and it had some brown outdoor caulking in it already, so I just used it. Should do the trick, keep most of the water out, and hopefully last for a while. Hey YouTube, I'm back. I have finished putting the actuator back on. It's been running for a couple weeks now, actually. You see this little thing on the end with the clamp. It's really just for me to fine-tune the tracker. The tracker's on the end there. You can barely see it, but what I'll do in a minute is I'll move the panel to a position where it's not facing the sun, and I'll plug it back in, and you can watch it rotate to face the sun again. And when it's turned this direction, you'll get a better look at the tracker. The tracker is powered by this little battery booster pack I got for $2 at a yard sale. The battery is not great. It only puts out less than 11 volts. But I just put a little trickle charger on it, and it works just fine. Right now, just the panel itself is putting out 58 watts into my grid, and I'll be back in a minute, and I'll show you the little tiny tracker, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, there is the tracker. The red printed circuit board you can see there is the tiny tracker from CSP, guy in Texas. It is mounted in a plastic container from the dollar store for $1.50. It's not real pretty, but it works quite well. I've got a little light vane on it. You can see right in the middle between the two sets of LEDs, just to make it a little more accurate. This may not be my final solution, but it does work, and I'll show you it in action. I'm gonna plug the power in, and it takes about 10 seconds before it is gonna go track the sun. And there it goes.
Yeah, same name.
And it does a pretty good job of tracking the sun all day. And there you go. And that is my single axis solar tracker with a single panel on it. The solar tracker actually is designed to be driven just by the solar panel itself, but right now I've got it plugged into a booster pack like I showed you. May not be my final setup, but that's the end of this video. So thanks for watching.